Let's unpack this. Today, we're diving deep into a truly compelling narrative drawn from an audiobook transcript. It's a story told from two very distinct perspectives.
Very, very distinct.
And it gives us this fascinating, sometimes quite uncomfortable look at the complexities of school life, bullying, and these unexpected connections that form.
What's fascinating here, I think, is how these two lives, they seem so different on the surface, right? But they intersect and reveal these layers of vulnerability, defiance, and honestly, a surprising protectiveness.
Exactly.
Our mission really is to extract those key insights, showing you how individual experiences can really shape perceptions and reactions, often in ways you just wouldn't expect.
Yeah, and we have a stack of source material here, giving us the inner thoughts, the external realities of our two main characters, Shannon and Johnny, and their journey through this really pivotal time. Get ready for some aha moments, I think. So let's start with Shannon's world. Her early life, it really sets the stage for everything that happens later.
Right.
From a young age, she has this core feeling of being very different from her two best friends, Claire and Lizzie.
That separation.
And that difference becomes really, really stark when her friends are heading off to Tommen College, described as, a lavish elite private school.
Right, the one with the massive funding and top-of-the-range facilities, all funded by wealthy parents, as the source puts it, parents who were apparently hell-bent on getting their kids the best education money could buy.
While Shannon, in contrast, she's enrolled in the local overcrowded public school Bal Lagen Community School, BCS, right in the center of town.
And the feeling of being separated. The transcript calls it horrifying for her. She actually begged her mom to let her live with an aunt just so she could go somewhere else.
Wow.
Yeah, but her dad apparently put his foot down. And her mom, described as weak and weary, just didn't fight it. So that sense of powerlessness starts really early.
And BCS, well, it turns out to be brutal. The source material is really clear on this. Almost immediately, like first month of first year, she's being hounded by several groups of boys demanding, things she wasn't willing to give.
Right. And when she refused, the name-calling started. Horrible stuff. Called frigid because she wouldn't, get involved with the very boys tormenting her.
And then it escalated.
Oh, yeah. The meaner ones, they called her a tranny, suggesting she had boy parts under her skirt. Just unbelievably cruel.
But the source says, and this is chilling, no matter how cruel the boys were, the girls were far more inventive and so much worse.
Spreading vicious rumors, claiming she was anorexic, that she threw up her lunch every single day.
And Shannon clarifies this herself, right? It's important.
Crucial.
Yeah.
She says, I wasn't anorexic or bulimic. She was just petrified at school. Couldn't eat. And when she did vomit, which was often, it was a direct response to the unbearable weight of the stress.
And her physical appearance didn't help. Being small for my age, short, undeveloped, and skinny just fueled those awful rumors.
Yeah, and even turning 15, she still hadn't gotten her first period. The doctor said it was fine, common, but you can imagine how that added to her self-consciousness with all the taunts. This wasn't just kids being mean. It was relentless psychological and physical pressure.
Just heartbreaking. And the family situation? It adds another layer. Her brother, Joey, you get the sense he felt her pain deeply.
Yeah, she says, when I hurt, Joey hurt too. She hated feeling like a burden around his neck, someone he was constantly having to look out for.
She talks about seeing the disappointment in my brother's eyes, how his expression caved when he saw her at school. It must have been agony.
And there were attempts to help, right? A guidance teacher, Mrs. Falvey, set up counseling sessions.
Yeah, fortnightly counseling sessions, but then the funding got cut. Typical.
So her mother steps in, scrapes together money for private counseling, 80 quid a session, which sounds like a lot for them.
Huge amount. But Shannon, she felt so bad about the cost. She censored my thoughts at my mother's request, only went 5 times, then lied and said she was better. She despised being a financial burden.
That self-sacrifice, it's painful to read about. She literally says she sucked it up, slept on a smile, and continued to walk into hell every day.
Yeah.
But things got worse.
They did. The physical violence escalated. A week before Christmas break, she comes home. It's awful. In floods of tears, her school jumper ripped down the front, nose bleeding from a hiding by 5th-year girls.
And it was all based on a bold-faced lie about her supposedly seducing some boyfriend she'd never even seen.
That was the breaking point. She says, that was the day I stopped lying, I stopped pretending, I just gave up.
And it seems it was Joey's breaking point too. He comes home right after her, having gotten a week suspension.
Why?
For beating the living daylights out of Kira Maloney, who happened to be the brother of her main tormentor. So, the mother sees all this, the ripped clothes, the blood, Joey's suspension, and that's it. She pulls Shannon out of BCS immediately.
Against the father's wishes, though. He thought she needed to toughen up.
Yeah, but the mother took out a loan from the credit union to pay the Tommen college admission fees. Just desperate measures to protect her daughter.
Wow. That really shows the desperation. So the home environment, was it any better?
Well, it was a sanctuary in some ways, but still tense. Her father's outrage about her leaving BCS meant she spent most of the winter break hiding in her bedroom.
Her own room, at least.
Yeah, as the only girl with 5 brothers, she had her own room. A tiny box room, she calls it. Barely room to swing a cat. But it had a lock. That was her sanctuary.
And the house itself?
Described as tiny. It's a semi-detached house on the edge of Elks Terrace, the big council estate, which she says was rough and riddled with crime, so she hid in her room a lot.
And even that sanctuary felt precarious, right? Because her mom was pregnant again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She worried if it was a girl, she'd lose her room. That feeling of borrowed time.
But Joey, he comes through again. Her first day at Tommen.
Oh, yeah. He's up at 6:15 a.m., way before his own school starts. Not just for the bathroom rush, but to see her off. Because her dad refused to take me. There's only one bus she could get.
That's real support.
Absolutely. His voice was thick with emotion, telling her how brave she was.
Uh-huh.
And then he gives her €10, which sounds like a lot for him, working at a petrol station saying, just have something in your pocket. Recognizing her courage. Just a beautiful moment showing their bond.
So wrapping up Shannon's start, what does this all tell us? It's more than just hardship, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. It's a harsh look at systemic failures, you know?
Yeah.
Underfunded schools, unchecked bullying, forcing families to make these huge sacrifices just for basic safety. It really highlights the cost when those safety nets fail.
And Shannon's own resilience, despite everything. Plus, the importance of people like Joey when the system lets you down. Her journey is already so heavy before she even gets to Tommen. Okay, let's pivot now to Johnny's world. And it is completely different.
Chalk and cheese, yeah.
He's presented as this intense athlete. Captain of the rugby team, got his first international cap in 4th year. His life is training.
He spent Christmas break working like a maniac to recover from an injury, while others were eating and drinking the shite of life, as he puts it.
And that injury is key, right? He's back training, but he knows he's not right.
Yeah, cleared by my doctors, but he admits a blind man could tell I was off my game, and it was pissing me the hell off.
So much pressure. School, 5th year's crucial training, club, the academy, all while injured.
He says it's a strain on both my mind and my body. He's struggling with his usual discipline. Even his coach, who he says he clashed on a daily basis with, but who cared about his players, was on his case about exams. Johnny admits he certainly felt like shite and looked shite. He's basically a pressure cooker.
So picture this guy, wound up, stressed, in the middle of practice, and then
A girl strolled across the pitch, and Johnny becomes, quote, perturbed beyond all rationality. He feels this rage inside of me that bordered on manic.
and in that fury.
He drop-kicked the ball with no care for direction.
Yeah.
And the next second, horror. The ball hit the girl, just laid out on her back on the grass, his ball beside her.
Oh, God, his reaction.
Immediate panic, he rushes over, heart hammering against my rib cage. But her reaction, even dazed, is telling.
She slaps his hands away.
Yeah, cries out, don't touch me. Her voice a little slurred, eyes unfocused, clearly hurt, but instantly defensive.
And then she starts making demands while concussed.
Kind of amazing, isn't it? You owe me a skirt, clutching the muddy skirt, and a pair of tights, noticing a huge run, and then an apology. Even in that state, the sense of grievance comes through.
But then she collapses properly.
Yeah, clutches her head, moans, my head, and just crumples. Johnny mutters, oh, shite. Coach is yelling, is she all right? Did you hurt her? Johnny yells back, she's grand. Clearly not believing it himself.
And then the moment with her skirt and the team's reaction.
Right. Her hand falls, her underwear is visible, and the team erupts. Wolf whistles. Go on, gorgeous, give us a twirl. A horrible, typical teenage boy reaction.
But Johnny,
Yeah.
he doesn't join in.
No, quite the opposite. This is where you see something else in him. He instantly roars, fuck off, you assholes, at his teammates. Steps right in front of her to block their view. Then pulls his own jersey off. Put that on, it's filthy, he orders her. He feels immense relief when it covers her up. He sees how small she is, barely reaching my chest, a tiny little thing looking very, very young and sad.
Right.
That protective instinct just kicks in hard.
So he takes responsibility, takes her to the first responder.
Yeah, coach tells him to take her to Magella. Shannon's wobbling like a baby foal, so he ends up putting his arm around her. And he's apologizing the whole way. I'm sorry, I'm an asshole, I fuck up a lot. All while he's freezing my tits off in just shorts and boots.
And she asks him, did you do it on purpose?
Yeah. Why'd you do that? Did you do it in purpose? He's firm. No, I would never do that to you. She asks him to promise. He just grunts, yeah, while holding her up.
And her distress, it's my first day.
That hits him. My fresh start and I'm covered in shit. My dad's gonna kill me. Her raw vulnerability seems to cement his protective stance.
It's such a shift from the angry athlete just moments before. Does it reveal something deeper?
I think it absolutely does. That initial rage just gets instantly overridden by empathy, by this sense of responsibility. His beast mode doesn't vanish, it just rechannels into protecting her. It's a powerful glimpse beyond the tough exterior.
It really makes you question assumptions. This disciplined jock, under immense pressure, shows this immediate compassion. It's not just about feeling bad, it's about actively shielding her. #check 3. The troubled aftermath and conflicting rules. Okay, so Johnny gets Shannon to the principal's office, but Mr. Toomey, the principal, sounds less than helpful.
Completely useless, based on Johnny's account. Johnny's literally holding up a half-comatose girl, and Toomey is ranting and raving about Johnny, already trying to escape the situation, desperate to get away from the type of responsibility he was paid to stand over.
Johnny's just left there, holding her.
Yeah, his frustration is clear. Why wasn't he taking her off me? Why the fuck was I still standing outside his office holding up a half-comatose girl? He was the adult here. You really feel his disbelief at the lack of support.
And it's Toomey who drops the bombshell about her past.
Right, almost casually. It's her 4th day. Her parents come here tearing up the school. She was already pulled out of Bal Lagen Community College for being verbally and physically attacked.
How does Johnny react to that?
It completely reframes things for him. Instant concern. What do you mean she was attacked? I looked down at the tiny little female under my arm who could attack her. She was so small and frail. What happened to her? Just as he's processing this, Shannon's concussion symptoms worsen.
She's saying everything's spinning.
Yeah, everything's spinning. I think I'm gonna fall, clutching her head, groaning, sagging into his side.
But Johnny stays with her, cares for her.
Surprisingly tenderly, yeah. He's holding her, reassuring her, I won't let you fall. You're good. I've got you. Trying to keep her conscious. He even tries to ask her name, awkwardly calling her Gord.
And in that closeness, he notices her, really sees her.
He does. It's a sudden realization. Jesus, this girl was beautiful. He's noticing details, the freckles, 11 by the way, her big and round and fucking beautiful blue eyes with small hues of yellow, her long elbow-length dark brown hair. It's this unexpected moment of appreciation amidst the chaos.
There's also this awkward physical intimacy described, right?
Definitely. He mentions her cheek nuzzling against my bare chest like a hot water bottle, and later, when she's lying down, her head ends up in his lap, her cheek nuzzling my groin area. He's battling physical reactions, conscious of his own injury, potentially making him pass out. It underlines how complicated this sudden connection is concerned, mixed with this intense physical awareness.
And he sees a scar.
Yeah, a tiny inch-long indent near her temple. He asks about it. She first says, my dad, then quickly retracts, no, he definitely didn't. Johnny's relief is described as palpable. Thank fuck for that. It shows how quickly his protective instincts have solidified.
He's clearly not mad at her anymore.
No, he asks if she's mad at him. And she, incredibly, finds comfort, saying, I like your lap, it's like a pillow, which then forces him to hold her head still to stop her shifting on his lap. It's just such a strange, intense, vulnerable moment.
And then the mother arrives, the deranged mother bear.
Yeah, with a small baby bump, hurrying down the corridor, immediately demanding, what did you do to my daughter? Toomey tries to mediate. I'm sure if we all sit down, but she's distraught.
Her past trauma just spills out.
Completely. You assured me this kind of thing wouldn't happen at this school, and look what happened on her first day. Sobbing, Shannon, I don't know what to do with you anymore. I thought this place would be different. It's just raw fear and desperation.
But Shannon defends him, even then.
She does. He didn't mean to hurt me. It really was an accident. Ask her mom, do you think you'd be here helping me if it was on purpose? But the mother can't see past her fear.
She twists his actions.
Totally. He knocked you over, tore your clothes off, and then he put his jersey on you. Johnny thinks it sounded so fucking bad when she said it like that. It's a perfect example of how fear colors perception.
Johnny tries to make amends, offers to pay.
Yeah, I'll pay for the uniform and her tights. But the mother rejects it fiercely. Because we have no money, she says, almost defensively. My daughter is not a charity case. Johnny's baffled, confused as hell by the human incubator declaring soil and war on me. He doesn't get the pride, the history behind it.
And the result for Johnny.
Toomey tells him to just go change and get to class. Later, the secretary, Dee, makes it official. Mr. Toomey made it clear that you are to have no contact with the Lynch girl. The mother is demanding he be suspended, calling it assault.
How does Johnny take that?
Internally, he's furious. Thinks it's complete and utter bullshit, doesn't need the hassle, concludes girls were a fucking complication I didn't need. Standard teenage boy deflection. But the detail about the jersey, she still has your jersey. That makes him sad for a whole different reason. He admits it looked better on her though, and she could keep it, but still hopes she doesn't bin it because it cost 80 quid. That little contradiction says so much about his conflicted feelings.
Yeah, this whole aftermath is intense. The mother's reaction, driven by past trauma, completely overshadows Johnny's actual behavior. And the no contact rule just adds another layer of complexity.
It's fascinating, isn't it? The gap between his private actions, which were genuinely caring, and the public perception shaped by fear and history. It really makes you think about how easily intentions get twisted, especially when past trauma is involved. Navigating that is incredibly difficult. Tag sell if. The forbidden file and Johnny's resolve.
So after the incident and the no contact order, Johnny, he can't let it go, can he?
Not at all. This is where the obsession really starts to build. He's worried about her, stops by Toomey's office to check, finds out she had an unmerciful concussion, needed bed rest for the week.
And he gets his jersey back.
Yeah, with a mumbled apology from the mother, maybe feeling a bit bad about her outburst, but also another stern warning to steer clear of her daughter.
Which just confuses him more.
Exactly. He couldn't understand it, tried not to think about it, but it didn't stop her from coming up in every conversation. This need to understand, it becomes overwhelming.
So he tries to get information from Dee, the secretary.
Yep. Tries the charm, playing on this poor woman's emotions, whispering, "It could be our little secret." But Dee refuses, genuinely scared. If anyone found out, my job would be on the line. She reminds him, Toomey was clear. No contact.
But Johnny doesn't like being told no.
He admits it himself. He was pissed off, which was a shitty way to be, but that's how life went for me. He's dying to find out what really happened at her old school, remembering Toomey's comment.
And then Gibbsy comes through, his best mate.
Right on cue. Finds Johnny sulking over her or pining in his car, and just hands him a vanilla-colored folder. Shannon's file. Gibbsy says he knew Johnny's obsessive ass was looking for it.
How did Gibbsy get it?
He implies he charmed Dee. Something about her sucking like a vacuum cleaner and the thrill of getting caught. It kind of shows Johnny's sphere of influence, maybe? That people bend rules for him.
But Gibbsy didn't read it.
No, says, it's not my business. Which puts the onus entirely on Johnny.
And Johnny reads it. And it's bad.
Horrific. Pages upon pages of incidents and reports detailing every horrendous ordeal. 14 A4 pages. Front and back. It tracks her grades slipping from C's to D's, despite teachers praising her gentle nature and diligent work ethic. Johnny says he figured that out on page 1. It was the bullying.
The specifics are awful.
Truly sickening. It lists everything. Her ponytail being cut off when she was 13. Punishment. A week suspension. Unbelievable. Incident in PE resulted in a bloody nose. Vomiting incident in the bathroom. Incident in woodwork with a glue gun. Issue after school with third-year girls. Another vomiting incident. Issue before school with fourth-year girls. Her refusal to go on a school retreat.
Just relentless.
And many, many more vomiting incidents. Referral to educational psychiatrist. Joey lodging multiple complaints, getting suspended again for intervening. Graffiti. Assaults. A serious physical assault by 3 older students. Finally, removal from the school at the request of the mother, and Tommen requesting the records.
Johnny's reaction must have hit him like a ton of bricks.
He says, horrified didn't begin to describe my feelings. Pissed off didn't quite fit. He settles on disgusted, disturbed, and wholly enraged. Compares it to reading a goddamn police report of a domestic violence victim.
And it makes him feel worse about hitting her with the ball.
Immediately. Christ. Now I was even more pissed with myself for hurting her. That knowledge just completely transforms his perspective.
And fuels that protective instinct.
Massively. He's outraged. Who the hell did this? Seriously, what kind of creatures were they breeding in that school? He realizes, damn it, I knew she was vulnerable. The pain I was so sure I'd seen in her eyes, it was real.
And that leads to a decision.
A full-blown resolution. And now I could do something about it. I could prevent anything like this from happening again. It wouldn't happen again. Not on my goddamn watch. It's this incredibly fierce, almost primal, protective vow.
So he blows off the rest of the school day.
Yeah. Can't concentrate on his business homework. His head is clouded with thoughts of war and images of sad blue eyes. He just waits for Gibbsy in the car.
This is a real turning point for Johnny, isn't it? Reading that file, it changes everything. It's not just empathy anymore, it's resolve.
Absolutely. Those 14 A4 pages are pivotal. They turn his accidental concern into this conscious, almost righteous mission. It shows how sometimes just knowing the facts, the history, can ignite something much deeper than attraction. It becomes about justice, about ensuring that trauma isn't repeated. He feels responsible now in a way he didn't before.
So Johnny's got this new protective fire lit under him, and he immediately starts acting on it, starting with his own team.
Yeah, he's clearly agitated that other guys are talking about Shannon. Too fucking many of the idiots in my year were talking about her, thinking about her, and plotting about her, and it drove me batshit crazy.
So he tells them off.
About her age.
Directly. Tells them to cool the fuck on, she was only 15. He notes it bothers him that her age doesn't bother them, and admits it probably shouldn't bother him either, but it absolutely does.
He takes a moral stand then.
Explicitly. Says, unlike the rest of the lads who had no problem messing around with younger girls, I was fully aware of the implications. Draws a line at anyone younger than me. This isn't just about Shannon, it's a principle for him.
And then he addresses the whole team publicly.
After training, calls them all over. Listen up. That girl on the pitch earlier, what happened? It would be embarrassing as hell, especially for a girl, so I don't want to hear one word of it repeated. Threatens consequences if he hears anything.
He even calls out one guy specifically. Pierce uses his sisters. You have 2 sisters, Pierce. How would you feel if that happened to Mary Beth or Candace? Would you like the lads talking about her like that? Making it personal, relatable.
And he's absolute about the incident itself.
Completely. You don't bring up what happened with her clothes to anyone. It's gone, erased, never fucking happened. Laying down the law.
And then the weirdly possessive bit. Don't talk to her, don't look at her.
Yeah, he admits, even to himself, these commands are for entirely selfish reasons. He doesn't want to analyze too closely. It's protective, but definitely possessive too. Most of the team just nod, probably think he's being irrational, but accept his authority as captain.
But one guy pushes back. Ronan McGarry.
Oh yeah. Described as a loudmouth oaf, king of the hill type, cocky attitude, mediocre rugby player, only on the team because his mom's the coach's sister. He embodies everything Johnny hates.
And he taunts Johnny about Shannon.
Immediately. Is she yours now or something, tough guy? Claims she's my class, the same age as me. Johnny just dismisses him. She's just too good for you. Pure contempt.
But Ronan escalates.
If I want her, I'll have her. Johnny snaps back. They're girls, not Pokemon cards. Ronan accuses Johnny of thinking he's God, but it's Ronan's final comment that sends Johnny over the edge.
What does he say? It sounds bad.
It's vile. He basically implies he's going to assault Shannon. I bet your Shannon won't be saying that. Or should I say she won't be able to? Followed by a graphic threat about forcing himself on her, adding he saw her in French class and now knows what she's hiding under that skirt, and there's always tomorrow.
Oh, God. Johnny's reaction.
Instant explosive violence. No one person tried to stop me when I barreled towards Ronan. No one dared. I'd hit my quota of bullshit for the day.
He physically attacks him.
Grabs him by the throat, slams him against a concrete wall, towering over him. His words are just brutal dominance. I'm your daddy on the field, bitch. You don't see it because you're a jumped up narcissistic little idiot.
Yeah.
But they do. They all know I own you.
And the warning about Shannon.
Absolutely clear. Go anywhere near that girl and God himself won't be able to save you. It's terrifyingly intense.
His internal justification is revealing too.
Yeah, he thinks, I didn't like, couldn't cope, and wouldn't put up with him talking about her like that. And crucially, the haunting look of vulnerability in her eyes drove me forward, causing me to lose a little grip I had on my temper. It all comes back to that file, that image of her vulnerability.
So this public aggression, it's extreme, but it's entirely about protecting her, right? He's setting boundaries violently.
Exactly. It raises questions about leadership and challenging toxic behavior in male groups. His methods are extreme, obviously problematic in terms of violence, but the motivation is this deep protective commitment. It's showing a different kind of strength, a moral boundary he enforces with physical power. It's complex.
Okay, let's switch back to Shannon. After the concussion, the hospital stay, the week off, she returns to Tommen. And she's bracing herself, right?
Totally. She actually says she'd have preferred staying in hospital or going back sooner just to avoid her dad's special form of torture. She expects the worst, a downpour of mocking and taunting. Spends the day in a sweaty, panic-ridden mess.
But nothing happens.
Nothing. It's remarkable. Aside from a few curious stares and knowing smiles from the rugby team, I'd been left generally unscathed. She can't understand how such a humiliating event could just vanish.
No one brought up the incident. It was as if it had never happened?
Exactly. Only her lingering headache proves it was real. Weeks go by, the silence remained. I wasn't a target, and I had peace.
Peace. After everything she went through at BCS, that must have felt huge.
Monumental. It allows her to actually settle in, fall into a steady routine with Claire and Lizzie. She starts looking forward to going to school. Tommen becomes almost like a safe place. That transformation is incredible.
And in this new safety, new feelings start to emerge towards Johnny.
But it's confusing for her. She hears the rumors from friends, from girls in the bathroom. He's incredibly popular, massive hit, but also aggressive, intense, a complete snob, a cocky, rich rugby head.
And the reputation with older girls.
Yeah, plays hard on the pitch. And
Yeah.
well, the rumor is he's very active off it too, and evidently much older girls were his thing.
How does she reconcile that with her own experience?
She struggles. It was hard to piece that information together with the person I'd met. Her memory of the incident is cloudy, but she remembers the care. How he had stayed with me, touched me with his big, gentle hands, talked to me like he wanted to hear what I had to say, and then listened.
And she kept the money he offered.
The envelope with the 250s, yeah. Tucked into her pillowcase for safekeeping. Doesn't quite know why. It clearly means something more than just money. A tangible link.
Her physical reaction when she sees him,
Oh, Faye.
it's intense.
Overwhelming. Body broke out in a cold sweat. Hands turning clammy. Heart fluttering rapidly. Stomach twisting itself up in knots. She says it's like every delayed hormone that had been lying dormant for the last 15 years erupted to life.
Even the rumors about Bella Wilkinson, she processes them in her own way.
With that slightly humorous thought about being glad they have a Henry Hoover, not a Dyson, so she doesn't gag thinking about Bella's alleged skills while cleaning her room, shows her trying to cope with these new, confusing feelings.
And this leads to her imprinting theory, like a baby duckling.
Yeah, she wonders if hitting her head made her attached to the first person who showed her kindness.
Yeah.
Could concussion cause that? She dismisses it as crazy and unhealthy, but the fact she's even thinking it shows how profound his impact was. It's a very vulnerable way to articulate this sudden, unexpected connection.
Then there's the school trip to Donegal. She's anxious but trying to be open.
Right, worried about the testosterone-filled teenage boys, but sees it as a win-win. She's consciously trying really hard to just stand back and read situations instead of just reacting with fear. Progress.
She meets Gibbsy there.
Yeah, tall and tanned, muscles, knows her name, flirts outrageously with Claire. Seems like a character.
And then Johnny appears, and there's that moment between them.
Powerful moment. He appears in the doorway looking thunderous, Shannon's heart flatlined before somersaulting. He makes direct eye contact. She feels snared, completely and utterly ensnared in his gaze. He tilts his head, looking curious, and looks away. So much unspoken in that look.
And Claire notices.
Oh yeah, I knew it. I see the way you watch him. Shannon denies it, of course. Typical teenage stuff, but heightened by everything else.
So Shannon finds peace at Tommen, a complete turnaround. But her internal world is now complicated by these feelings for Johnny, feelings that clash with everything she hears about him.
It's fascinating, psychologically. That safety net finally allows her emotions to bloom, specifically attraction, which was probably impossible to feel amidst the trauma at BCS. It shows how the right environment can unlock emotional development, even if that development involves the messy, confusing reality of a first crush on someone deeply complicated.
Meanwhile, Johnny is really struggling with Shannon's presence in his life, isn't he? It's completely thrown him off.
Oh, big time. He cannot stop thinking about her. Her midnight blue eyes wouldn't say the fuck out of my head. He's doing countless internet searches just trying to define the color. Says his brain is like a broken record stuck on repeat.
What's the track playing on that record?
Shannon, like the river, with the gorgeous blue eyes, face of an angel, and a troubled past. That's his internal monologue.
And despite the no contact rule,
He technically stayed away, but admits he kept an eye out for her in the hallways, listened out for any gossip, shut down anything problematic, making sure she had a smooth transition into Tommen. He sees she's liked, has her little bodyguards, Claire and Lizzie.
he tries to ignore her, focus on Rugby.
Really fucking tried. But it's useless. One of the lads would bring her up, or she'd pass me in the hallway, and I was back to square one. He's been silently obsessing for over a month into February.
And this obsession goes against everything he thinks he wants.
Completely. He says, I didn't like it, and I liked her even less for being the sole cause of my uncertainty. He tries to rationalize why he shouldn't be attracted to her,
How does he describe her physically?
almost dismissively. She's a tiny scrape of a girl, all limbs and bones, there's no curves, doubt that she even wore a bra. Conclusion, see, too young, too fucking young, trying to convince himself.
But his actions betray him.
Totally. But that didn't stop me from searching for her in a crowd. It didn't stop me from looking when I found her. The more he tries to block her out, the more he seeks her out between every fucking class.
And sometimes she's looking back.
Yeah, He catches her watching him. She gives him that dazzled in the headlights look before ducking her face. He knows his reaction is irrational, not normal, but he couldn't seem to get a handle on myself. He's losing control, and he hates it.
Adding to this, his situation with Bella, the non-hookup ended.
Right. She called call time after 8 months. He felt empty, no connection, was tired of feeling used. Says Bella only wanted him for show, like I was some prize fucking bull, refusing dates, only wanting public appearances.
And she moved on to his teammate,
Cormac Ryan. Johnny says he's relieved, but expected a little more loyalty from Cormac. Claims he doesn't care, but hates mind games and liars. It adds another layer of frustration.
And his physical state, that injury, is still playing a part.
Definitely. He mentions his purple balls, swollen sac, and oozing scar. Clearly in discomfort and experiencing pent-up frustration.
Which Gibbsy, of course, picks up on.
Like a hawk. Describes Johnny as like a bear with a sore head. Asks him point blank about, ejaculating, relieving himself, the detrimental effects of not releasing on his parts. It's crude, but gets right to the physical tension Johnny's feeling.
Johnny's reaction is pure panic.
I'm not talking about this with you. Please just stop. And then the denial about Shannon. I'm not talking about her. Followed by that slip. Her name isn't Sharon, it's Shannon, and I don't like her.
Gibbsy just teases him mercilessly.
Calls him out for overthinking, says Johnny's the one with the phobia of girls your own age. Tells him to just ask Shannon out. No one would care.
But Johnny refuses. Uses the age thing again.
I could get arrested. She's 15. Gibbsy calls him an idiot. You're 17 for 3 more months. But Johnny doubled down. I don't ask girls out. I don't have the time for that shite. It's all deflection. His feelings are undeniable, but they clash with his rules, his focus, his fear of distraction, all amplified by this physical and emotional pressure cooker he's in. Trying to suppress it just makes it stronger.
So what's the core insight here? Johnny's really battling himself. This unexpected attraction is wrecking his whole system.
It really highlights how attraction can just hit you, regardless of logic or preference. It feels like an independent force tearing through his carefully constructed life.
Yep.
And that unresolved physical tension, the manic energy, is definitely fueling his volatility.
Yeah.
It's a profound internal war between his head and, something much deeper. #tag 8, intersecting lives, unspoken feelings.
Let's check back with Shannon one last time. We see her settling into a more normal rhythm. Saturday is her favorite day.
Yeah, favorite day of the week. Weekend, no school, and GAA day means her brothers and father are out of the house. She gets her chores done, cleaning, laundry, dinner prep by 3 p.m. A sense of quiet accomplishment.
And she goes to Claire's house, even though she's nervous about Hugh picking her up.
Yeah, almost had a heart attack, but she goes. They have a typical girly evening junk food, reruns of One Tree Hill, gossiping about absolute nonsense. She calls it the best Saturday I'd had in years.
Yeah.
Just normal teenage stuff, which feels extraordinary for her.
And the gossip gets quite intimate, Lizzie's confession.
Right. Lost her virginity to Pierce O'Neill, Johnny's teammate again, noticed a few days before. Her description is brutally honest. It hurts. It's disappointing there's blood, and the boy turns into a complete jerk afterwards.
Oh.
A stark dose of reality shared between friends.
Claire's reaction is different. Fear.
Yeah, fear of the D. Says, I think I'd die if I saw a penis coming towards me. Shares a story about screaming when a boy tried to force her hand down his jeans in second year.
And this leads back to Gibbsy, defending Claire.
Lizzie fills in the detail. Gibbsy jumped in to defend her honor and broke James' nose. Claire confirms it was epic. Another glimpse of Gibbsy's protective side, subtly weaving these worlds together again.
And later that day, Johnny and Gibbsy appear again in the background.
Yeah, Gibbsy's teasing Claire, calling her Claire Bear, singing Van Morrison. Johnny warns him off her, don't even think about it, reminding him about Gibbsy's supposed phobia of older girls.
And then Shannon appears, unnamed, just a tiny brunette laden down with books.
And Johnny's internal reaction is instant. A sudden swell of something filled my chest. God damn it. Why did she have to look like that? Why did every single thing about that tiny fucking girl scream out to me?
He's still trying to rationalize why she's not his type.
Exactly. Nothing like the girls I usually messed around with. I liked curves, a big rear. And she had none of the above, but he can't deny it. But she had legs and hair and a smile. And those fucking midnight blue eyes. He even thinks they should be called soul blue because they were deep as fuck and sucked a person right in.
And then she drops her books.
And her skirt rides up slightly, reveals 2 smooth, pale thighs. And Johnny's reaction is purely physical. Red flags shooting up my brain, wave of heat, muttering, oh shit. It just reinforces that undeniable, unwanted pull he feels. Even seeing her from a distance triggers this intense response.
It's fascinating how these moments happen. Normal teenage life for the girls,
Yeah.
awkward gossip, first experiences. But underneath, this powerful, unspoken connection between Shannon and Johnny keeps simmering, even when they're not interacting directly.
Exactly. The narrative weaves these intimate personal moments with the larger forces, the school dynamics, the boys, the unspoken feelings. It really raises that question about how relationships develop in these subtle ways, influencing people even without direct conversation. Sometimes the strongest connections are the ones felt, not spoken, operating just beneath the surface. Hashtag head outro.
So we've taken a deep dive into the raw, often difficult narratives of Shannon and Johnny. We've seen how past trauma, these sudden unexpected encounters, and fierce loyalties all just tangle together. It's a story about finding safety after terror, battling inner demons, contradictions, and the profound effect one person can have on another, even when they're actively trying to push them away.
What really stands out is the power of observation, isn't it? And those unspoken connections that just seem to defy logic. And the sheer complexity of human behavior, the trauma, the protectiveness, the attraction, the denial. It's a potent reminder that appearances are rarely the whole story. True character often emerges in the most unexpected ways.
Absolutely. And that brings us to our final thought for you listening. In this world where we're overloaded with information, where judgments are often so quick, so superficial, how often do we actually pause? How often do we consider the unseen histories, the internal struggles that might be shaping someone's behavior right in front of us?
Yeah.
What more might we understand about others, maybe even about ourselves, if we took the time for our own deep dive into those unspoken stories all around us? Recognizing that maybe the most profound insights are lying just beneath the surface, waiting to be understood.